There exists a razor-thin line between virtue and self-abandonment, between genuine kindness and what the Stoics would call betrayal of one's own character. Most men believe that giving more will earn them more respect, more attraction, more love. Yet they find themselves exhausted, overlooked, and dismissed despite their relentless effort. This isn't a failure of their goodness. It's a philosophical error in understanding what goodness actually requires. When you sacrifice your mission, your boundaries, and your resources for someone who hasn't earned that level of investment, you aren't demonstrating strength of character. You're revealing an absence of self-respect. Today, we're examining 3 specific behaviors that transform well-intentioned men into what can only be described as their own worst enemies. These aren't merely tactical mistakes in attraction. They're violations of core Stoic principles that damage your character at its foundation. The third behavior, in particular, reveals whether you possess genuine self-worth or merely perform a hollow imitation of it. The first critical error is the sacrifice of purpose for validation. A man with a genuine mission, whether building a business, developing a skill, or pursuing meaningful goals, cannot be perpetually available. His time serves his purpose, not his anxiety. Yet observe the man who abandons his workout, his work, or his rest the moment a text message arrives. He has announced something profound about himself, that his life contains nothing valuable enough to protect. The ancient Stoics understood that time is the only truly non-renewable resource we possess. Marcus Aurelius, while governing an empire, maintained his philosophical practice and personal disciplines regardless of external demands. He responded correspondence when his duties allowed, not when his insecurities demanded. This wasn't coldness or indifference. It was a recognition that a man without purpose cannot offer anything of substance to others. When you make yourself available 24 hours a day, you don't demonstrate dedication. You demonstrate that you lack anything important to be dedicated to. High-value men aren't valuable because they strategically ignore people. They're valuable because they're genuinely engaged in building something meaningful. Their unavailability is a natural byproduct of their purpose, not a calculated tactic. The philosophical question you must ask yourself is this: if a single text message can derail your entire day, what does that reveal about the importance of your daily mission? A man building a kingdom doesn't have time to play court jester. Build a life so purposeful that instant availability becomes impossible, and others will naturally begin respecting your time as much as you do. The second error is what we might call the elevation fallacy, the practice of placing another person on a pedestal so high that genuine connection becomes impossible. This manifests when you overlook obvious character flaws, apologize for transgressions you didn't commit, and treat someone as if they exist in a different category of being than yourself. The Stoics call this abandoning your rational judgment, and they considered it one of the gravest threats to a virtuous life. When you elevate someone beyond the realm of honest evaluation, you force them into an impossible position. They must either accept the pedestal and look down on you, or reject it and step away from the relationship entirely. Either outcome destroys the possibility of genuine partnership. True attraction, the kind that sustains itself across years rather than weeks, lives in equality, not sameness, but equal dignity. Consider your most authentic friendships. Do they require you to monitor every word, to walk on eggshells, to suppress your honest thoughts and feelings? Of course not. Real relationships exist in a space where two people see each other clearly, flaws, virtues, contradictions, and all, and choose presence anyway. The moment you become afraid of losing someone, you've already lost them. You're no longer in a relationship. You're in a state of perpetual anxiety management. Start practicing what the Stoics call proper judgment. Evaluate people based on their character, their integrity, their treatment of others when no one is watching. Beauty fades within years. Character reveals itself across decades. Are you attracted to this person's soul or just their surface? Do they make your life genuinely better or merely different? These questions matter far more than you've been taught. The third and most revealing error is the transaction trap, the attempt to purchase connection through material resources and emotional labor. When you buy expensive gifts for someone who hasn't committed to you, pay for every interaction, or provide boyfriend-level emotional support to someone who treats you as an option, you aren't being generous. You're negotiating from a position of perceived scarcity. The Stoics would ask you a penetrating question. Why don't you believe your character alone is sufficient? This question cuts to the core because it exposes an uncomfortable truth. You aren't giving from abundance. You're compensating for a belief that you're fundamentally not enough. Here's what both philosophy and experience teach. You cannot purchase a human heart. You can only rent someone's attention temporarily. The moment your resources diminish, anyone present for benefits will vanish as quickly as they arrived. Your time, money, attention, and protection represent the few things in life you actually control. To waste them on those who haven't demonstrated reciprocal care is to disrespect the only life you'll ever have. Save these precious resources for people who have earned their place in your life through loyalty, character, and genuine investment in your well-being. This isn't cruelty or manipulation. It's wisdom. Breaking these patterns doesn't require becoming cold or calculating. It requires becoming self-possessed in the truest sense. The ancient philosophers didn't teach selfishness. They taught self-respect as a prerequisite for all other virtues. The world doesn't reward the man who gives the most. It rewards a man who respects himself enough to give wisely. Stop chasing validation from others. Start pursuing excellence in yourself. When you become the best version of yourself, purposeful, discerning, self-respecting, you won't need to chase anyone. The right people will naturally gravitate toward your strength, and more importantly, you will possess the wisdom to recognize who actually deserves a place in your life. Your character is your kingdom. Guard it wisely. Build it daily. Respect it completely.